Hello and welcome. You're watching Trending Tonight with me, Sanket Upadhyay. Two stories that we are discussing right here on this show. There is a raging controversy, at least online, not on television channels. I don't know why. Ideally, there should be. That there seems to be double standards in implementing COVID protocol. One for the Mahakumbh and one for the Markaz in Nizamuddin. As far as the Markaz issue is concerned, remember last year there was a massive hue and cry, and rightfully so, of it becoming a super spreader event. Lots of efforts were taken, and then a rule came into existence that not more than 5 or 10 people are going to enter the masjid. That rule exists even now. Now the Waqf board says, let's change that rule because of Ramzan. The central government says that no, the provisions of the DDMA, Delhi Disaster Management Authority, are in place and we can't do it. Rightfully so. All religious congregations must not be allowed. But what is applicable in Delhi should also be applicable in Haridwar. So by that same logic that has been presented by the centre in front of the court, this same rule should be applicable on the Kumbh also, where day after day you see Shahi Snans and far more people, lakhs and lakhs of people, in utter disregard of any COVID protocol. Forget do gaz ki duri, just look at the pictures and you will know how alarming the situation is being allowed. So then we are bound to ask this question: why the double standards in implementing COVID protocol? Simple question. Let's see what answer we get. Also on the show, we interview the chief of Maharashtra's COVID task force, Dr. Sanjay Oak, and he has only 3 words to fix this crisis that we are in: vaccinate, vaccinate, vaccinate. Some other words also that he spoke about, which you shall hear through the course of this broadcast. So first, let's very quickly tell you what all has happened on story number 1. So, no religious gatherings are allowed. This is what the centre has said as far as the Nizamuddin Markaz case is concerned. They said this, which is a U-turn after agreeing to allow devotees into the Nizamuddin Markaz for Ramzan. Now they say that we cannot do it because provisions of the DDMA, Delhi Disaster Management Act, are in place. The Delhi Waqf board says allow devotees to offer prayers inside the masjid premises in the middle of this crisis. The centre says New Delhi Disaster Management Guidelines ban religious gatherings in Delhi due to COVID, which is a fact. Nobody should be allowed to carry out a religious gathering like this, particularly when you see that 17,000 plus cases have been registered. The Waqf board then said that several religious gatherings are still going on across the country, including the Kumbh Mela. They brought in the matter of the Kumbh Mela. The centre then said that 13,000 fresh COVID cases in Delhi. This is of course earlier this morning. Now the updated figure is at 17,000. Coronavirus cannot tell the difference between religions. Absolutely correct point. The centre is spot on when it says all these things in the court. But why is the same rule not applicable in Haridwar is the only question. Is there some special form of COVID or special immunity that people have in Haridwar that they will not get this virus? Delhi High Court has then asked the centre to file an affidavit on banning religious gatherings in Delhi. See, so what the centre is trying to do is basically de-hyphenate events of Haridwar from Delhi. So, according to the centre, this is what is applicable in Delhi. But our only and only limited point is, why are the same set of rules not applicable in Haridwar, where the Kumbh is on? These are people who will potentially travel back and carry COVID virus with them, who have gone there for the Shahi Snan. Now let's quickly tell you a little bit of a background. Nizamuddin Markaz was shut since the Tablighi Jamaat controversy in March last year. Now look at Haridwar, the point that we've repeatedly been making. Look at that. Lakhs visit Kumbh every day. There have been 3 Shahi Snan so far. There is still not only talk of possibly finishing this early, but so far no decision. There is zero social distancing, very few masks, And all of this can be seen. It's not hidden from anyone. These pictures are being broadcast live. Basic COVID-19 protocols such as thermal screening, checking, negative test reports, all of them have been ignored in the name of religion. Why is this happening? Police says that we are fining people, and that is not possible because we do not have enough policemen. So if the police is saying that we do not have enough policemen to enforce the COVID guidelines, what chance do we have? Just because this is a religious gathering, is it going to save us from COVID-19 is the question that we ask. So the High Court ordered 50,000 tests a day, and Haridwar is managing only 18,000, 36% of the target. And by the way, the latest figures that are coming in from Haridwar, in the past 2 days, 1,000 people have tested positive. Don't juxtapose this figure with the congregation right now. COVID follows a delay of about a week. So what you see right now, its impact is going to be felt 7 days from now. The real impact of this congregation will be felt within a week. At that point, does Uttarakhand have the infrastructure for the massive inflow or influx of these patients in its hospitals or the nearby areas? Do we have that system in place? I don't think so. Delhi is struggling, Mumbai is struggling. There is no chance that Uttarakhand will not struggle. The Akhada Parishad chief, Naren Giri, has also tested positive. In fact, Akhilesh Yadav met this chief and he returned to Lucknow and he tested positive. You've got more and more leaders now testing positive. The Uttarakhand chief minister says you can't compare Kumbh and the Markaz because Markaz is in a closed space, Kumbh is in the open. What sort of a logic is this? By that logic, people on the roads should also not wear masks. There can be as many number of people on the roads. Then why impose night curfew? Don't do anything because all of it is open. So there is some form of skewed logic that is being presented in the context of Haridwar. So why are there different strokes for different folks as far as the implementation of COVID virus is concerned? That's the question that we are asking. I want to introduce at this moment Niharika Karanjawala. She joins us to discuss this. Niharika, good evening. I want to ask you that this legal defense that has been given by the centre, where they say that these DDMA rules are applicable in Delhi and that is why religious congregation is not allowed. Why is there a different rule being cited in court for Delhi and a very different rule in Haridwar?
Frankly, Sanket, let's look at it this way. Yes, maybe there is a technicality with the DDMA and it is applicable to Delhi being the Delhi Disaster Management Act. However, I think the centre needs to look at this at a much larger scale. If they're looking to tamp down any kinds of COVID numbers at this point in time, they need to deal with anything that could potentially constitute a super spreader event. The fact of the matter is, if there is no corresponding law in place right now in Haridwar, they need to put something in place. The Uttarakhand government needs to put something in place and needs to bring this under control. The fact of the matter is, your DGP himself is saying that he is unable to enforce any COVID protocols. He has said it very clearly. He said, these are peak days, we can't enforce it. What does that mean? Does that mean that in the midst of a pandemic with thousands of people potentially dying following this event, that you're just going to throw your hands up and leave it at that? Why is there no discussion on even closing this down early when you can clearly see that it's completely unmanageable?
Appeasement. My theory is that this is nothing but appeasement. Simple.
It's entirely possible, but the fact of the matter is, are they interested in appeasement or are they interested in saving their citizens, saving their voters, looking out for saving lives? Does Uttarakhand have the infrastructure and the beds to deal with this?
No, I don't think. These are pertinent questions, Niharika, but the point is nobody has an answer. Look at what is happening in Delhi. 17,000 plus cases and continuously rising. Look at what is happening in Mumbai. Look at what is happening in every part of this country, including Uttar Pradesh. Sunil Bharala, senior leader of the BJP, chairman of the Labour Welfare Council, government of Uttar Pradesh, is now also with us. Bharala ji, आप मुझे ये बताइए कि उत्तर प्रदेश जो आपका राज्य है, वहां पर भी आप देख रहे हैं लखनऊ में जो स्थिति है वो ना आपसे छुपी है ना मुझसे। मंत्री तक चिट्ठी लिख के कह रहे हैं कि स्थिति बहुत खराब है। और यहां पर आप देख लें कि एक तरफ एक कानून मरकज के लिए बताया जाता है अदालतों में केंद्र द्वारा, और वहीं पर हम देखते हैं तस्वीरें कुंभ से जहां पर इतने लाखों लाख लोग आ रहे हैं। वायरस फैलेगा नहीं तो और क्या होगा?
संकेत जी, देखिए, हालात तो कोविड के अच्छे नहीं हैं, और आप
कोविड के बहुत अच्छे हैं, इंसानों के अच्छे नहीं हैं। COVID-19 is having a time of its life because of events like कुंभ।
जी, लेकिन इसको फिर मरकज से जोड़ना और कुंभ को उसकी तुलना करना, ये बिल्कुल नहीं हो सकता।
क्यों?
उसके दो कारण ये है कि जैसे आप
क्यों? मैं आपको बता देता हूं, अगर आप धर्म के चश्मे से ना देखें तो इन दोनों को जोड़ा जा सकता है। वहां पर भी जमावड़ा था, यहां पर भी जमावड़ा है।
नहीं, उसमें अंतर है संकेत जी, दोनों बातों में अंतर इस बात का है कि जब वो कार्यक्रम चल रहा था उस समय दिल्ली के अंदर, तो उस समय पूरा देश लॉकडाउन था। आज लॉकडाउन नहीं है, आज कोविड-19 के नियमों का पालन हो रहा है, और नियमों का पालन करते हुए आप देखिए जाकर के हरिद्वार में सारे नियमों का कोविड रिपोर्ट जा रही है, उसको चेकिंग हो रही है, और जिसके वहां बॉर्डर पे पुलिस, वहां पूरी सीआरपीएफ पुलिस लगी हुई है हरिद्वार के बॉर्डर पे, और वो सब अपनी कोविड रिपोर्ट लेके जाते हैं, वो अंदर प्रवेश करते हैं।
आप मुझे ये बताइए कि आज की डेट में, एक सेकंड भराला जी, आज की डेट में जब दिल्ली में 17,000 मामले हो गए, पूरे देश भर में लगभग अब जिस रेट पे हम जा रहे हैं 2 लाख मामले भी हो जाएंगे रोज के। ये सब देखते हुए, ये सिर्फ इसलिए कि लॉकडाउन शब्द नहीं बोला है सरकार ने, ये आपका डिफेंस रहेगा? आप बताइए, अगर ये मामले बढ़ गए तो? मैं कह रहा हूं दिल्ली में आप मरकज में आप दिल्ली में मत अलाउ कीजिए, डोंट अलाउ अ रिलीजियस कांग्रेगेशन, बट देयर शुड बी नो रिलीजियस कांग्रेगेशन अलाउड फॉर एनीवन।
संकेत जी,
कुंभ भी
मामले बढ़ जाए और घट जाए, लेकिन कुंभ भी 12 वर्ष में आता है, और जो अभी अमावस्या थी, मौनी अमावस्या, वो 48 साल में आई है, तो वो श्रद्धा का पार्ट बहुत बड़ा हो जाता है अपने आप।
अरे लोग जिंदा रहेंगे तो 12 साल बाद फिर आएगी।
जहां लोग हजार किलोमीटर, 2-2 हजार किलोमीटर से अपनी रिपोर्ट निकलवा करके हरिद्वार कुंभ में जा रहे हैं, तो उनकी जो श्रद्धा है वो कोविड से बहुत बड़ी हो जाती है। कोविड को छोड़ देते हैं लोग फिर।
नहीं, आप मुझे ये बताइए कि अभी हिंदी के जो प्रोग्राम था उसमें आपने एक बड़ी विचित्र बात बोल दी, जो अभी तक मैं उससे सदमे में हूं। आपने बोला कि आस्था जो है वो कोविड से बहुत बड़ी है, कोविड प्रोटोकॉल से बहुत बड़ी है आस्था।
हाँ, आस्था बड़ी चीज है। आस्था पे तो
कोविड के नियमों से भी बड़ी है।
जब नहीं, कोविड उससे भी बड़ी। आपको मैं बता देता हूं ना, देखिए अभी मरीज जो है, अभी एक मरीज हमारे एक IRS ऑफिसर है, उनके पिता वहां एडमिट है लखनऊ में, तो वो कह रहे हैं कि वो अभी हवन यज्ञ करवा रहे हैं, यज्ञ करवा रहे हैं वहां घर पे, कहने लगे भाई भगवान, तो आस्था बड़ी है ना। अब वो डॉक्टर ने भी ये कह दिया कि भगवान मालिक है, तो आस्था बड़ी हो जाती है।
नहीं भराला जी, जस्ट बिकॉज द डॉक्टर इज सेइंग भगवान मालिक है, इसका ये मतलब थोड़ी है दैट यू पुश योरसेल्फ, अपने आप को आप एक ऐसी स्थिति में ले आए कि उसके बाद फिर वाकई भगवान मालिक हो जाए।
तो
कहीं ना कहीं तो विज्ञान का सहारा लेंगे हम लोग।
विज्ञान का सहारा तो ले ही रहे हैं ना सब लोग भैया।
तो डॉक्टर की सुन लीजिए,
रिपोर्ट चेकिंग हो रही है, रिपोर्ट चेकिंग
कुछ नहीं हो रही,
अंदर लोग जा रहे हैं,
कुछ नहीं हो रही कोई रिपोर्ट। मैं आपको बता रहा हूं, हमारे संवाददाता वहां पर हैं, कोई रिपोर्ट चेकिंग नहीं हो रही, कोई मास्क चेकिंग नहीं हो रही, कोई मास्क नहीं पहन रहा, कोई सामाजिक दूरी नहीं है। ये मैं दावे के साथ कह सकता हूं।
आपको मैं बताता हूं, गंगा माँ ही इस कोविड का सर्वनाश करेगी, इस कोविड को जो खत्म करेगी गंगा माँ।
Had Ganga Ma been a human being, she would also be wearing a mask. I can tell you this much. Nobody is above this virus right now. भराला जी
जी, ऐसा है कि जब आस्था का सवाल आता है ना, तो कुंभ जो है अपने समय सारणी के आधार पर, और सरकार ने उसके नियमों को पालन करके जमीन का
No, see, इसमें दो, Niharika, let me quickly come back to you. Let me see if Zafarayab Jilani is also with us, Secretary of the All India Muslim Personal Law Board. Niharika, see, the point is, you know, when you make these arguments, of course, religion is one such thing on which, you know, it's a tricky subject. Many people would refrain from commenting or will not get into this, or there'll be allegations of appeasement. But, you know, above religion should be your COVID response, ideally. do you think that right now governments have failed in implementing an equal COVID response?
I think they absolutely have, Sanket, and I think that is clear in the fact that the Uttarakhand DGP himself is saying that it's impossible to implement the COVID protocols. Also, I would like to know what Mr. Bharala has to say about the fact that even in the past and even through the 19th century, the Kumbh Mela has been linked to great surges in cholera deaths during times of epidemic. What happened then to the question of faith solving everything? I mean, that can hardly be the answer here.
It's important. भगवान में आस्था रखना बहुत जरूरी है, लेकिन ऐसी भी आस्था ना हो जो अंधविश्वास में बदल जाए कि सब कुछ भगवान ही ठीक कर देंगे. ऐसा नहीं है. Then we don't need doctors, then we don't need hospitals.
जी भगवान ही ठीक करते हैं.
नहीं,
हमारी
जी नहीं, मैं नहीं मानता. तो अगर भगवान ही ठीक करते हैं तो फिर डॉक्टर भी भगवान है. और मुझे ऐसे लगता है that all those people who are congregating at the Kumbh are making it difficult for these gods called doctors. आप डॉक्टरों के लिए मुसीबत क्रिएट कर रहे हैं इस तरीके की सोच से, क्योंकि ये सारे लोग जब अस्पताल पहुंचेंगे तो फिर अस्पतालों में जगह नहीं होगी, और ये भी रिपोर्ट्स लगातार आ रही हैं. तो आस्था मुसीबत बनेगी आगे चल के. सीधी सी बात है. मैं एकदम स्पष्ट बोलता हूं.
उपचार भी वही करेंगे. आप देखते होंगे
नहीं, जबरदस्ती उनके लिए आप देश के लिए और उनके लिए
क्या करते थे लोग, हमन यज्ञ करते थे.
इस तरीके की सोच देश के लिए आगे लोगों के लिए मुसीबत बना रही है. It is creating trouble for the doctors. Very quickly, Mr. Jilani is also with us. Mr. Jilani, do you feel at one point there is the Waqf board which says open up the masjid also? Do you think that is actually the right solution? Just because there is a Kumbh going on, masjid should also open. Ideally, shouldn't the response be that close everything down? It's a state of emergency right now.
I don't know who has made this grievance about on behalf of the Muslims, because today Ramadan has started and Muslims have observed in UP at least like curfew since 9 p.m. so they could not offer prayers in the mosque because there was a pabandi. There was a top order for five persons only to pray in the mosque. So the Muslims are following the dictates of the government. I don't know who has raised this demand in you. We do not equate our namaz with Kumbh Mela or anything else.
Okay. Thank you very much to the three of you. Let's hope that better sense prevails, because otherwise this matter will go out of hand very, very soon. And then God will also not be able to save us. Thank you very much, Mr. Bharala, Niharika, as well as Mr. Jilani. All right. Now, let's play out that interview with Dr. Sanjay Oak. He is the head or the chief of the Maharashtra COVID Task Force and the COVID response. He rarely speaks. What does he have to say? Let's listen into him. So, the situation in Maharashtra is alarming, and to talk about this, we have a man who rarely speaks. His name is Dr. Sanjay Oak, and he is the head of the Maharashtra COVID Task Force. He is now with us. Dr. Oak, thank you so much for sparing time. I know your job is very, very difficult, incredibly difficult with this large number of cases. So let me first start by asking you, what's your assessment of the COVID situation in your state, Maharashtra?
Yes, I mean, without going into the statistical details of numbers, I can tell you that there is a shortage of oxygen that is now being palpably felt in the private hospitals, as well as it will go down to the government hospitals. Availability of remdesivir was an issue, but that is being addressed at two levels. One is increasing the production, which will become available in additional batches, I think from 15th onwards. And second thing, a proper audit of remdesivir usage. So the task force has issued advisories as to when this drug is to be utilized, and it's not a wonder drug. It has its own limitations and its own application rules. So that we have reinforced to all our treating physicians. And then repeatedly telling as to what are the red flags when you are home quarantining people and what you should do when a patient is received from first 0 to 72 hours to keep down the fatality figures in check. So this is what is being done.
Let's talk about the bed situation now. You think we were under-prepared this time around? Perhaps a result of, a failing in our assessment that this virus can ever come back? Got lax maybe?
The task force was never in its slumber. The task force repeatedly was telling that it is not lockdown or other measures, but it is adoption and strict adherence of COVID appropriate behavior. If we don't allow that, why we only talk of 2 waves? We will have multiple waves which will come after this. Unless and until we adhere to mask, safe distancing, sanitization and other protocols, corona is bound to repeat. You talked about number of beds. No country, no nation on the entire globe was prepared for the onslaught of the cases that happened. Plus, here is a virus which has phenomenal infectivity, thankfully low virulence in its second attire. And that is the reason I say that one patient who is moving in society in the corners of our street without a mask is a potential threat to 400 people. That's the speed at which this particular disease has got multiplied. And therefore, no amount of beds. Today, the corridors, the open spaces have also been converted into beds. Oxygen production, oxygen acquisition has been jumped up. Industrial oxygen has been virtually stopped in the state, and we are also on the verge of borrowing oxygen from neighboring states. All this has happened in a thoughtful manner, but the numbers that are coming in are frighteningly high.
Okay, but Dr. Oak, I'm sure there must be some assessment. I know that this is a mega surge, but is there a timeline you have in mind or an assessment on when these COVID cases are going to peak, and by when will this start coming down? Any estimate?
Yes, very good question. Now, the first wave of corona all across the globe followed a kind of a mathematical or a statistical parabola type pattern and an equation where one could predict the number of cases by specific number of days. Well, this time it is spreading at an astounding rapidity. But we all feel that in Maharashtra now we are very close to the peak of that parabola of the second wave. And from next week onwards, we would see a slow decline. Now, I predict that this decline will be slower than the rate at which we had it at the time of the first episode. But I hope that by end of April and beginning of May, we would have plateaued it down to an acceptable and easy manageable level.
Let's now talk about the virus itself. There is an assessment by a few doctors that this strain that you see, which is wreaking havoc, is actually the UK strain. What would you say about the prevalence of the UK strain or the double mutation? What is causing this surge?
See, I mean, these are speculations, whether it's a UK strain or a Brazilian strain or an African one or an entirely de novo new for India. See, what happens is that if you go back to that particular structure of the classic coronavirus, you see multiple spicules outside. These are the glycoproteins which are attached. And even if at one locus, even if at one spot, even if one of them changes, you get a new polymer, you get a new genome, you get a new virus, whom we call it as new strain. So usually they are known by the number, the site number N95-2 or something like that, where that particular virus is distinct. I'm not too worried about that because finally they all belong to the corona family. It is like we having our cousin lineage in our family, So most of them would behave in a similar manner. Their infectivity and their virulence would differ, but they would respond to the vaccination that we are on and to the line of therapy that we are following. And that is important.
Yeah, that's true. But Dr. Oak, cousins don't usually always respond the same way. They may be very different. And could this not be true about the virus itself? But Dr. Oak, the one thing that can fix this are the vaccines. I want to ask you a question on vaccination. Did we waste crucial time by not speeding up our vaccination drive?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you have touched my heart. I have been shouting from rooftop for last almost about 6 weeks in the state that we need to have vaccination done at the speed of a leopard. Today we are just tottering behind. We will have to entirely change the plan of vaccination for the state. We will have to take it to the home. See, there are so many elderly people. I feel very sad. I run a vaccination center in my own hospital down. It's pathetic to see they coming on wheelchair, resting and waiting in torchlit sun half an hour. We should do that in their home. If you don't want it in the home, doesn't matter. We will get them down in an open space at the society building. So definitely our speed at which the vaccination is being conducted just now needs to be stepped up.
That's true, but Dr. Oak, the
vaccination, my final words on this pandemic for India, vaccination, 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 oxygen, 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 and COVID appropriate behavior. That's all that is required.
There are doctors here in the national capital who feel that this virus is smart enough to even trump RT-PCR tests, that a negative could also actually mean positive. What's your assessment?
Absolutely true. Absolutely. I endorse the observation of my Delhi colleagues. And if you remember, RT-PCR has its yield to almost about 75% or 80%, not 100%. Rapid antigen has it only up to 30%. So 70% there is a chance that you may still miss. Now the virus is smart, and all the viruses have been smarter than the doctors who treat them. That's a very open statement that I will make. And therefore the virus will always try to change just one spicule and it might escape. So the dictum in the treatment of viral illnesses is treat the symptoms, not the test result.
All right, Dr. Sanjay Oak, thank you very much for sparing time.